Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Never Too Late to Fly podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline.
And I'm Kevin. Together, we're going to dive into different topics around weight loss, body image, relationships with food, and how to overcome life's everyday struggles and challenges so we can all live our best lives possible. Remember, it's never too late to fly. Hello, everybody, and we are back here with episode 3. This episode, we're going to be talking about food plans and diets, even though that we don't particularly like to call it that. So let's get started.
Yeah, so in this episode, like Kevin said, we're going to be talking about the best plans and programs and things that you should do to lose weight. Like he mentioned, I don't like using the word diet. I feel like because I have struggled with my weight for so long, I was always told to go on a diet, and I would always put myself on a diet. And I just had a negative association with the word diet. And mentally, I feel like that made me kind of fail every time I began because it was a short-term thing. It was a short-term, okay, I'm going to go on this diet or this fad diet, lose weight. And then it would end up with me going right back to my old ways or right back to my old way of eating. And it was never changing the relationship I had with myself and with food and making it kind of a long-term thing, especially someone who has struggled with the relationship I have with food, the relationship I have with my body, emotional eating. So I think that word diet just needs to be completely thrown out. Because even if you are trying to lose a large amount of weight like I was, to lose over 300 pounds, the word diet is not helpful at all. You need to really make it a lifestyle change. And I think that's where you're going to have your success. And like I said, diets are just bad things that you go on for a short term or a quick thing.
I think that's exactly it. It's a temporary change to help you lose those 20 pounds or to help you lose those 50 pounds or to get right for summer. It's not something that a new way that you're going to live your life.
And I think a lot of people, whether they have a large amount of weight to lose or like you said, they're trying to lose 5 pounds before summer to get into that bikini, that word diet is still so damaging because it's still a negative way and you're negatively impacting what you're doing, whether you're going to starve yourself, drastically lower your calories, do something so drastic, go drink smoothies every day. That's drastically going to maybe help you lose weight faster.
But ultimately, you're going to end up going overboard the other way with overcompensating for what you were lacking for that period of time.
And so in reality, you're causing more harm or more damage to yourself and your body, whether it be your physical or your mental health, because you're associating, oh, my body got too big. Now I have to punish it and go on a diet. Or I want to look the best I can to be in like this bikini. So I'm going to punish it, stop eating, restrict what I'm doing in order to lose weight, to go on this diet, instead of making it a lifestyle change and having a healthy life and having everything in moderation and taking care of yourself. Because then if you do have a plan to go to the beach or to put a bathing suit on, you know you already look and feel your best because you've already been doing everything you can to look and feel your best in your life overall.
Right. I think there's just that, like you said, that negative connotation, that negative mindset, that negative place around diet. And I think in order to be successful, you have to have yourself in a positive mindset, positive place to be able to continue doing what you're doing day in and day out to be successful in the long term.
Right. And I think that goes back to when we, are trying to lose weight. And even myself, when I was, like I said, losing an extreme amount of weight, I wasn't going to put that on myself and say, okay, well, I'm not going to wear a bikini or to wear a bathing suit until I can lose 5 more pounds or 10 more pounds or 300 pounds. I think if you really break it down into this is your lifestyle, your body is always the right body for you at that moment, whether you're working on losing weight or not, whether you're going to be going to the beach and wearing a bathing suit or not. The body you're in right now is you, and it is your best self, and that body and that size and that shape deserves your love right now. It doesn't deserve to be put on a diet, quote unquote, in order for it to look good on the beach or to wear a bathing suit or any of that. And I think that's where it gets confusing with people wanting to lose weight or going on a diet or making it a lifestyle change.
Right.
So kind of in my opinion, if you are trying to lose weight, the best thing to do is to find an overall plan that's going to work for you long term, that you can make it a lifestyle change. It's not trying to only drink juices, because that's only a short term. You can't do that for the long term for the rest of your life. So it's really
you could, but you'd be miserable.
Yeah, and how healthy would you be? And honestly, that would cause more damage, because you are going to be hungry. Then it's going to cause a whole sort of new stuff where it's like you're going to start binging or eating out or overeating more so than you would if you were just eating foods to begin with.
Right.
And so I think it all comes down to listening to yourself and figuring out, what can I do long term?
Absolutely. That's.
And so, this is nothing against any diets, any programs, anything, but I'm just giving this as an example. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not an expert. I'm only sharing from personal experience. So for me, as an example, I could not do the keto diet and give up carbs and not eat carbs. It's not a bad diet. It works for so many people. I have friends who love it, are successful on it, and it's a great diet if that works for you. For me, it did not work because I love carbs. Like, carbs and me are pretty close. And so even for my own mental health, to give that up, even if it was to lose weight, is not realistic for me, because I don't want to live the rest of my life not eating carbs. And there are so many other programs out there or different things that you could do in order to lose weight, that you don't have to give up carbs in order to lose weight if that's not right for you or what you want to do. And I think that's so important to remember, is that there's so many things that you can do out there. It's not just, not eat meat, not eat dairy, not eat carbs, and that's the only plan that works. That's not true. There's so many different things that you could be doing. And it all comes down to what works for you. Like I said, for me, giving up carbs long term doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to do it.
Well, I think ultimately, too, it boils down to you making choices that are going to have you in a calorie deficit, meaning that you're consuming fewer calories than you're burning.
And I think that's the ultimate thing, is that people sometimes forget, is it all comes down to calorie deficit. It doesn't matter how you get there, but you need to be consuming less calories than you're burning. And that's the bottom line of how you're going to lose weight.
And sure, there are a few other exceptions to that rule, and there are genetic disorders and things that go into that where maybe that's not the only factor that's going to play into it.
It's not all black and white. If you do this, you're going to lose weight. That's absolutely not the case. And, we'll get into it in more episodes, but for me, some point along my journey, I had to actually raise calories. Do you remember that?
I do.
When I was not losing, and doctors kept telling me to drop calories, lower your calories, maybe your calorie deficit's not right. And I ended up having to add calories and eat more. And then I started losing again. So like you said, there's so many different factors that go into weight loss. But just in terms of just this episode and talking about diets and trying to lose weight, it really boils down to being in a calorie deficit. Whatever plan you choose, whatever you're choosing to eat or not eat or eliminate, it's really all calorie deficit.
Right. So let's talk about your success, and what plan did you choose to create your calorie deficit and be successful in the long term?
So again, this is my personal opinion. This is what worked for me. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you. Quick disclaimer, I'm not sponsored to talk about this company. I'm not getting paid to talk about them. In all honesty, I wish I was working more with them, because I would love to. But it's just not in the cards right now. And honestly, they haven't been so far the most supportive. But the way I lost my weight is I joined Jenny Craig.
Let's throw that back. At the corporate level, they're not as supportive.
Exactly.
The people that we deal with or you dealt with.
Trying to work with them, even in terms of not even getting paid, but just helping other people who are on Jenny Craig to lose weight and offer my support, it's not in the cards right now. And it's still something, no matter what happened, I would love to work with and help people lose weight and change their lifestyle and diet and help them. Just, not right now. It's not in the cards right now. So, but I did go on Jenny Craig. if you don't know what Jenny Craig is, it's pretty much you get portion controlled like freezer meals. You warm up, cook it yourself at home. They're prepackaged meals.
For breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack.
Right. And then you add in your own dairy and fruit. Right. Dairy, fruit, and vegetables.
Right.
Dairy, fruit, and vegetables. So pretty much you go into Jenny Craig Center. You're assigned a consultant who's going to kind of be with you to help do your weekly weigh-ins, give you your food, offer extra support. And then they put you on a certain amount of calories based on your weight, based on your goals, based on how much you exercise or work out. And then as you lose, the calories can change and drop, and you're given different like calories, but you still like your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks are always
The same.
the same. You're not ever like, okay, now we're going to take a snack away. It just sometimes they take away some dairy or fruit to kind of drop those calories.
Or depending on where you are, that you could add additional meals to that.
Right.
So and it all depends basically where you start, what your situation is, and
right. So when I started and I weighed and my starting weight was 510 pounds, they actually put me on, it was the highest calorie plan that they had. And I ended up having to have like 2 dinners. So just to
2
get
dinners
those,
and a couple other things that you had
right.
to add
So
to
you
that.
have to, there's a lot of different ways it works, but what I like too is it worked for your body, where you were, where your weight was, and where they thought a good starting place would be for you, where you would still be, and again, in a calorie deficit, but you would be able to lose weight, and then it would change as your body changed.
Right.
I think the food is amazing. There's definitely some that are better than others, and there's some I would never eat ever again in my whole entire life because they're just not good.
But too, they bring out new different meals.
Right, and that's the
Every
thing.
quarter they bring out
They
new
always
meals.
bring in new things, but then on the downside sometimes is they take away
something.
So some of your favorites might go away, which, I mean, I was on the program for over 3 years, so I've seen a lot of favorites come and go, and a lot of bad things or good things replace them.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the downsides of it. And then depending on your views on like prepackaged foods, I guess could be another downside. But the reason I joined it was because, in all honesty, I didn't know what else to do. I had tried every other plan, diet, program under the sun, and it just, something was not working about it, and I couldn't stick to it. And, you know, I even did try a modified keto diet. My doctor put me on, it wasn't called keto because it wasn't that big back then. I was in high school, and he took away all carbs, all dairy, and all fruit. So it was pretty strict. And then we slowly incorporated like more dairy and fruit, but carbs was out of the question besides what was in like the fruit or those kinds of things. And I did lose weight, but then once I went off, I gained it all back. And that whole time losing weight, I had no energy. I was weak. I hated it. And I felt like I was starving myself and that I was not living life. And so I think that's kind of what I didn't know when I started my weight loss journey was I don't know where to go. And I'm so far gone. Like it felt like I had dug this hole down to the bottom of the earth and I was stuck inside this hole. And I did not know even where to begin to start climbing out. And I remember seeing commercials for Jenny Craig, people talking about Jenny Craig. And I thought, well, that seems easy. You get their food and I don't have to worry about it.
It's all prepackaged. You open your meal, you put it in the microwave, and it's ready to eat in 5 minutes.
And so I was so desperate at that point and needed something. I needed to start digging myself out of that hole. Something had to help me. And so I thought, might as well try it. If I don't like it, I stop doing it, just like I've done every other diet before. But let's see how this one goes. And again, you might be thinking, well, you said about diets or food restrictions, but it all goes down to what's going to work for you. And so at that moment, Jenny Craig is what I chose. And because of their food variety, you could have pizza, you could have pasta, you can have chocolate cake every night if you wanted. And their big philosophy is everything in moderation, that nothing is off limits, but you have to be mindful of like your portion control, the amount of calories you're consuming, staying in that calorie deficit. but it never felt like they were telling you, you can't eat this, you shouldn't do this, this is bad, you should never eat this, and things like that. And I think mentally that started to change my mindset and my relationship with food, because I knew it's okay to eat pizza. It's okay to have chocolate cake. What's not okay is eating the whole chocolate cake and the whole pizza and a whole bag of chips. But those foods weren't the problem. It was the amount I was consuming.
Right.
And I think realizing that was a huge switch in my brain, and why I'm so thankful for Jenny Craig and that I went on that program is because it started to change the relationship I had with food. And I think that's huge, especially when you've been so consumed with like your relationship with food, your dependence on food, you needing that food.
When you use it as a comfort and as
exactly. And so I think it starts slowly by doing this. It changed, it not only lost weight, but it changed my mindset and the way I thought about food.
Right.
So I stayed on that program the whole time. My starting weight, like I said, was 510, and I got down to around 150 pounds just by changing my diet, just by doing Jenny Craig food and exercising. So it was like over 300. It was like 360 pounds from like the start of my highest to where my lowest was. And that was all
over the course of like 3.5
right.
years.
And that was all on picking a program that worked for me, staying in a calorie deficit, and changing my relationship I had with food.
Right. Well, I think too, a lot of people think that you have to be going to the gym and killing yourself and doing hours on hours upon hours of cardio in order to lose weight. And you lost your first 200 plus pounds.
Yeah, it was almost 200 pounds before I even stepped foot in a gym.
Just by doing walking after work and doing your
food.
Your food.
And I think people underestimate the power or the importance of what you're actually putting into your body. Because if you're feeding your body with junk food, but even if you're going to the gym 2 times a day, every day, you're still not going to see the changes you want. It all comes down to, for the most part, what you're eating, how much you're eating, and what you're putting into your body. Because right. You can't outdo or outwork out a bad diet.
Right.
So I think a lot of people are like, well, I have to change my diet and I have to work out. It's so much work. I don't know, whatever. The best thing you could do is just start with your food. Start with changing one thing at a time.
I think too, that's part of the reason that you were successful is you locked in on one thing that you could change at a time. And you said, okay, right now, my biggest thing I need to change is what I'm eating. You locked in on that. You focused on that until you got that 100% under control. Then you added another piece to it.
Right. I just focused on my food. And like I said, with Jenny Craig, it was easy. You just pulled out a lunch, warmed it up, pulled out a breakfast, had your snack. It was all ready to go. And it made it so easy. So it made it easy for me to stick to. And then you started seeing results. And then that made it easier to stick to. And then you felt more motivated because something's working. You're actually enjoying it.
Right.
So you keep doing it and you're seeing the results. And then that makes you more excited. And it's not because, Jenny Craig's the only way you can lose weight, or I'm saying that's the only plan that works. It's just finding something that works for you, because you are going to be excited to keep going instead of dreading it. Like, oh, today I'm really wanting this, but it's not allowed, and it's that negative mindset that's going to cause you a lot more damage in the long term. And that's why it's so important to pick a plan for you. And that's why I picked what I did. And I'm so glad I did, because I wouldn't change it for a thing. I would change some things right now, but it truly worked for me because it's what I could do long term.
Right. Well, on top of that, they take care of you in the sense, like you said, the weekly meeting. If you know, okay, I have this dinner meeting that I have to go to, your consultant will help walk you through. Okay, if you know you're going to this place or this type of restaurant, these are the things that you can look for on the menu that will help you maintain where you are.
So you did have like a personal consultant. Like I said, you met with them once a week and you could talk about your challenges. What was challenging? Why did you maybe go off program and eat something else? Why was this week successful? What foods did you enjoy, or what foods did you find yourself not enjoying? And I know there was times when I was trying so strictly to follow their pre-planned menu, and then I ended up changing it to where I was just picking my own foods. But I was trying so desperately to just follow their planned menu. And I was gagging down some of the food I was eating because
Right.
I did not like it, but I thought I had to eat that in order to lose weight. And that's absolutely
Wrong.
so far, like, not good. Like, it's not good at all to not be enjoying what you're eating. And so I would be able to talk to her and be like, you know what, this meal, I really could not eat it. And she's like, take it out, don't get it again. And I think, when you're honest with yourself and honest with your consultant or your support system or whoever it is, and you're honest with your feelings and what's actually going on, that's going to add to your success as well. So like I said, it doesn't matter what program or what plan it is necessarily, but you have to be enjoying what you're doing. You have to be enjoying the foods you're eating, because as much as people say food is fuel and you shouldn't enjoy it, food is enjoyment. You should be enjoying what you're eating. It shouldn't be something you're gagging down or unhappy about eating, or that it makes you upset because you really want to be eating something else. I think you really need to enjoy food. And it's such a big part of our culture, and some of us who we are, and we're foodies and we like cooking, and I like baking and I like food. But I think that's not the issue. It's the unhealthy relationship you have with it, or your obsession with eating too much, or that overeating where the problem is. So there's nothing wrong with eating food or liking food.
Right.
And it's okay to enjoy the foods you're eating while trying to lose weight.
Right. I think too that this would open up a whole can of worms that you could go into a whole nother episode about. But I think it's I just lost my thought.
And I know one of the questions I get all the time is about, do you have to eliminate certain foods? And that's a little bit what we talked about, with picking, does keto work for you? Can you give up carbs? Can you give up fruit? Whatever that is. And my opinion of it is you shouldn't have to name foods as bad or tell yourself you can't have something in order to lose weight. And this is my personal opinion, is you shouldn't have to feel like you have to eliminate anything from your diet in order to lose weight. If you like chocolate, eat chocolate. Find a way to have it work in your program or what you're doing so you can still enjoy it. Maybe you're not going to eat a whole candy bar every day, but find some sort of chocolate or way that you can eat chocolate every day if that's what's going to help you be successful. I'm a firm believer in having everything in moderation. And there's some foods you should have more often than others, or choose more often than others. But I also feel like if you deprive yourself of something, then you're only going to end up binging on it or overeating it, or not being able to control yourself when you do allow yourself to have it. Because I know I've done that numerous times where I don't allow myself to have something, like chips, for instance. I'm saying chips are off limits. The minute I allow myself to have it, where I think, oh, okay, I deserve this, and again, that's in quotes, deserve this, I eat the whole bag. I'm not having that control to have a little bit. So I am a firm believer in everything in moderation. Nothing's off limits, and there's no such thing as bad foods. There's just foods we should have more often than others. And so that is a huge thing. I'm a believer in not only picking like a diet or a plan that works for you for weight loss, is really changing the way you view foods like candy or chips. Or
I think too, the way that you eat makes you feel a certain way. If you're filling yourself and filling your calories with candy and chips and like liquid calories, be it juice or soda or any of things like that, like those things don't make you feel good.
Right.
So if you're eating more wholesome foods that have like the nutritional value, you're going to feel better. You're going to move better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to want to do the things that go along with changing your diet.
If you eat a lot of sugar or junk food, you're going to feel sluggish and tired and off. And when you fill your body with lots of water and healthy fruits and vegetables and carbs and proteins and dairy and all of these food groups, and having everything that your body needs and wants, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to feel more motivated to maybe go for that walk, to get that workout in, because you're going to feel good. And I know for me, even if sometimes I eat foods off, or like I still struggle with binge eating, if I have a binge attack, I'm not feeling like working out. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel tired. I feel sluggish. I have a headache. And so you're not going to be motivated to take that next step to do the next right thing, and you're just going to feel off. And so I think when you do fuel your body with all of those nutrient-dense foods, you are going to notice a difference in how you physically feel, and then that plays into how you mentally feel as well.
I couldn't agree more. Like that's I think that's the thing I keep thinking back to what we've talked about. I think the biggest thing is changing that mental way you view yourself, view food, view like everything. I think in two, it's easy for you to sit back now and say, oh yeah, my biggest thing I needed to change was my mental way I viewed things. But like it's so true. Like without changing those mental things, you don't have the success that you've had.
And I think that's why diets have not worked for me in the past, is because that's what they just were, diets. It wasn't addressing all those other issues that went along with it, or really thinking about why didn't this diet work? Why didn't this plan work? And it wasn't necessarily maybe that diet was bad or wrong or it wasn't right for me, but it wasn't something that I was happy with, comfortable with, and it wasn't changing my relationship I had with food. And sometimes I looked for the easy way out. If it's not easy, if I can't still eat all of these foods that I want in huge quantities, I'm not going to stick to it because then I'm not happy. And that's a huge mental thing of what you're thinking, because in reality, you don't need thousands and hundreds of thousands of millions of calories a day in order to be happy or to live. That's a mental thing. That's a mental thing you have to change. And I think that's why those diets didn't work for me. And I got to 500 pounds because I didn't address the mental aspect of what actually got me into 500 pounds. And it wasn't necessarily that I'm sitting here saying Jenny Craig's the only thing that would have worked for me, or all those other diets were bad and didn't work for me.
I think ultimately Jenny Craig was the right thing for you at that moment in time.
Right. And I think that's what you have to think about, is what is actually going to work for me that I can stick to, that's going to make me happy. And like I said, it's not a quick fix. It's not a quick fad diet. It's not doing whatever you can as fast as you can in order to lose the weight, because I think that's when things don't work.
I think too, this is what I was going to say earlier. It just came back to me now when you started talking about this again, is that losing the weight is not going to solve your issues. Losing weight's not going to help you resolve what ultimately made you gain weight to end up at 500 pounds.
Right.
Losing weight's not going to quickly make you happy.
I remember I had a moment, because I used to say, once I lose weight, I'll be happy. Once I lose weight, I'll start living my life. Once I lose weight, everything's magically going to be perfect. And I remember I was getting ready for my very first skin removal surgery. I had lost 360 pounds. And I remember sitting there like, something's wrong. Something is not right. I'm not fully happy. Like, where's this magic that everyone says happens once you lose weight? Like I told myself, once I lost weight, I was going to be magically happy. Where is that? And it didn't come on until later, where weight loss isn't going to magically make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. You have the ability to be happy at any weight, at any size, at any shape your body is. That comes from you. It doesn't come from changing something about you. It doesn't come from changing or losing weight. That comes from you loving yourself enough to be able to do what you want to do. And like I said, I don't believe that if you lose weight, you don't love yourself, because that's not the case at all. What I tell people is I lost over 300 pounds because I loved myself, because I wanted what's best for me. And I worked as hard as I could every single day in order to make my dreams and my goals and my reality come true, because I loved myself so much.
And you did that every single day for 3+ years, not
Right.
just, okay, this Monday I feel like it, next Tuesday I feel like it, and 2 weeks from now on Friday I'll feel like it. Like every single day you put
Right.
everything you had into being.
And that's what we talked about in our last episode, was about motivation. It's about doing things even if you don't feel like doing it. It's about becoming disciplined enough where when you don't feel like maybe eating your food, that discipline and that routine kicks in, so you just keep doing it because it becomes something natural to you. Because the more we give up or we quit, the more we're going to keep giving up and quitting. The more we can keep pushing through and saying, okay, you know what? Right now, I might not feel like eating my Jenny Craig meal. I want an In-N-Out burger, but I'm going to choose to do this, and because it's going to help me get to my goals a lot faster or healthier, or it's what's best for me right now. And you make that choice to, okay, as bad as I want In-N-Out burger, I'm not going to do it. To be able to keep making those choices is going to become a lot easier, instead of giving in every time you don't feel like doing something.
That turns into a habit of, okay, I want In-N-Out burger, so you go eat the In-N-Out burger, and then it turns into, okay, I'm going to have another one tomorrow because I feel like it again, and it just turns into
Right.
that unhealthy relationship still of continuing to do what isn't going to get you where you want to go.
They say the more excuses you make, the more excuses you're going to make. So that's really something to think about, and something I had to think about along my journey as well is the more I keep making excuses, the more I'm going to keep making excuses and finding reasons that I don't want to do this. It's not going to work. I can't do this.
I think
But
ultimately, like you said, it's those finding those reasons why I do want to do this and making
Right.
the conscious effort to make those choices.
And going back to your why. Why are you doing this? Why did you start this journey? And I think if you can pick the right plan or the right program that is going to help you and make you feel happy with the foods you're eating and be able to do something like I did long term, it's going to be a lot easier in those moments you don't feel like doing something to be able to continue to keep moving forward, because you know the foods you're eating you like. You know that they taste good. You know that they're going to fill you up and give you fuel and nutrients to help you keep going, instead of, really wanting that In-N-Out burger but needing to go eat a grilled chicken breast instead. Like, I think, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But you have to be excited and like the food and what you're doing and the plan you chose.
Well, that's
because it's going to make it easier to keep doing those
I
right
think too.
decisions.
There's ways that you can make healthy food have flavor and taste and make it good, because nobody wants to go eat boiled chicken and white rice every single day for 365 days a year. Like, that would be boring and be miserable.
Right. And I think it is changing up the foods, changing what you do, how you eat it. And even like for me, when I was on Jenny Craig, even if I had the pepperoni pizza every day, some days I would just have the pepperoni pizza. Some days I would put it in the microwave and it was more soft. Some I would put it in the oven and it would get crunchy. I would add vegetables. So there's a whole bunch of things you could do to change things up so you're still excited and enjoying the foods you're eating. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing or the foods you're eating, you might want to pick a different plan to go on.
Right. Well, that's not to say that you can't do one plan for 6 months or whatever, make some progress, or not make progress and say, okay, let's reevaluate and say this isn't working. Why? And find something that fixes those reasons why that it's not and make it work for you.
Right. And I think we have to stop this trying to have it done so quick. And that's why I don't like that word diet, is because even if you, like, say I did Jenny Craig for a week and I didn't lose as much as I wanted, and then I jumped to another one and then jumped to another one, that's not going to help you be successful or lose the weight any faster. So you do have to be honest with yourself is Jenny Craig not working because the program might not be right for me or my body, or I'm not enjoying the foods? Or is it not working because I'm only doing Jenny Craig 50% of the time and I'm fooling myself pretending I'm doing it 100% and it's just not working? So I think you do have to allow yourself time on whatever plan you're on to see if you're really enjoying the foods. Is it really working? How am I feeling inside by eating this way or changing this or that? And realizing it is going to be hard. There are going to be days and moments that you don't like it or you don't want to do it, that you're going to want that In-N-Out burger, or that you feel like it's not going fast enough. But at the end of the day, you have to trust your journey and trust the process. And it is going to take time and it is going to be hard.
Well, I think too, you have to be honest with yourself, like she said, and say, like, am I actually following the program, or am I kidding myself and saying, oh, I'm following the program when I'm at work and when I'm waking up in the morning?
And then on the weekends, I throw it out the door.
Or at night, you go to your room and you take all this food with you and you binge out in there and say, oh yeah, I'm still following the program. And reality is you're following the program for these 12 hours instead of the 14.
Right. And I think that's where it comes down to, is being honest with yourself. And I think once you're honest with yourself, so many things change and happen, and that's where you're going to see progress. And there's so much more that goes into losing weight than just like the foods you eat. It's actually taking care of yourself, getting enough water, getting enough sleep. Those are all other things that you have to be looking at if maybe you're not losing weight. So it doesn't just come down to, okay, this plan's not working, throwing it out and starting something new and always starting something new.
Right.
But looking at, am I really being honest with myself? Am I actually eating enough calories or the full amount of calories on my program? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I drinking enough water? Am I doing some sort of something to move, to get some physical activity in, even if it's a 5-minute walk? Because that's all I did when I started, was a 5-minute walk every day. And actually being honest, because I know there were some times I was so desperate to lose weight, I would cut out even some of my own Jenny Craig foods And I'd say, okay, well, I'm not going to eat this chocolate cake tonight as my snack. And hopefully it's going to help me lose weight faster. And then that week or weigh-in would come and I wouldn't lose weight, or the scale would go up. And it's like, but I didn't eat my chocolate cake. What happened? And I think sometimes we can fall into that we're not eating enough. And I think that's a separate thing. But in order to be successful, you have to be honest with yourself, do exactly what you can be doing, and trust the process and trust the journey and trust yourself.
Right.
So when it comes down to my suggestion or recommendation as to what plan is best, I think you have to pick what's right for you, what you can do long term, make it a lifestyle change, not a diet. And in my opinion, not having food restrictions, having everything in moderation is what works for me. And it might not work for the next person or the next person, and they might have different opinions or views or what works for them. But in my opinion, is having everything in moderation helps change your mindset, and it's not looking at foods as negatively or bad. And that's going to help you in the long term to be successful, because weight loss doesn't just end. It's something, especially if you've struggled with your weight for a long time. Once you lose the weight, it's not magically going to end and everything's perfect. It's changing everything about the mental side of it, the way you view food, your relationship with food. And that's something you have to change.
Well, it's a lifelong journey. You're going to battle that and fight that fight forever.
So I think that's what it comes down to, is enjoying what you're doing, loving yourself no matter your size, your weight, your shape right now, and making the changes that can become a lifestyle, and loving yourself every step of the way.
Right. So I think with that, we can wrap this episode up. That kind of is a nice little bow to recap what we've talked about. And if you could help us out by subscribing and rating, and also leaving a review, that would be extremely helpful in helping us get into the algorithms and all of that of these podcast distributors.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey. We really are happy to have you here listening. We'll talk to you guys very soon.